Welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss, and Freedom Convoy to DC 2022 Revolution is on its way. But before we get into that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Your subscriptions do go a long way with not only allowing me to put out new content, but this to help to keep the voice in the revolution alive and help convey information out to those who may otherwise not be aware of it, and also help beat the YouTube algorithms and social media that's desperately trying to suppress this information and ensure that the revolution will not be televised. Now, with that said, there is going to be a convoy here in the United States, having been inspired by the revolutionary actions of the truckers in Canada in their convoy to Ottawa, that despite media's best attempts to try to suppress the information, and I'm not kidding, last week in the days leading up to the convoy to Ottawa, you didn't hear peep from from the mainstream media. Go to their website, CNN, MSNBC at that time. They tried to ignore it and pretend like it wasn't happening. Thank goodness for social media keeping the information alive. Now you'll see it because it actually happened, to their shock and surprise, with a larger turnout than they ever anticipated. And thanks to their inspiration, there will be a convoy here in the U.S. starting right now. The proposed date is still in the early goings, but the proposed date is March the 1st, 2022. They'll start in California, make their way out to Washington, D.C. The idea, though, as well, is that, all right, those on the West Coast will be starting in California, making their way, obviously, east. If you happen to live in one of the Midwest states, you may not leave right on March the 1st, of course, but you'll leave and meet at some intersecting point with the West Coast convoy and making your way east. And then again, of course, if you're a trucker and you live on the East Coast and or greater Northeast and or Southeast, like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts, etc. Again, you're going to likely start at a later date, but just making your way down to Washington, D.C. around at the same time as the convoy coming from the West. That's the idea. A route has not yet been set up. Now, a little crinkle in their plan, however, they did try to start a Facebook group page to try to help organize everything. And lo and behold, who was it? Jeremy London, Brian Bros, and Michael Lindell, among others, helped get this convoy started, at least started their own Facebook group. And lo and behold, I believe it was Jeremy London and Michael Lindell who woke up surprised to see that, at least while Brian Bros' Facebook account, totally fine, Jeremy Johnson and Mike Lindell found their accounts, not only their personal Facebook accounts, but also the group account for the convoy, completely wiped out, gone. Now, Fox News broke this story and met with those individuals, and all the metaverse, or Meta, which is the parent company for Facebook, reported to saying, their own statement saying that they falsely claimed that this group was linked to QAnon, and they have a strict policy against any and all QAnon information, and terminated the page, which I find very interesting. Now, here's the thing. They removed the account without any warning, no chance for appeal, no chance to acknowledge or warn the site owners and or the page owners and or their personal pages to try to dispute and or appeal, meaning they didn't even have to provide any proof or evidence of anything linked to QAnon, and they pretty much wiped it off the face of the earth, therefore trying to take their word for it. That's their way of trying to suppress the movement, suppress the organization, but it's not over. I'll show you where you can try to find the information regarding the organization and how to join the team right here. Despite Facebook's initial censorship of Jeremy Johnson's initial Facebook group page, they still have a GoFundMe page set up here, which as it stands now has so far raised $1,592. This appears to be a separate GoFundMe page from the convoy to Ottawa that was initially set up and had already raised $10 million. That is now being frozen by the Canadian government to assess and or to actually do inventory and or auditing of said expenses. But it's very important to contribute to the cause because they do need money and funds for fuel and food as they make their way through the country. Again, this is specifically for the Freedom Convoy to DC of 2022. I'll put the link to this GoFundMe page in the description box below. So they are here. And also, again, in light of Facebook censoring their page thus far, at least the main one that they had already set up, that by Landis and Jeremy Johnson, and I believe Brian Cross, they do have other forms of social media to which they've already flocked to. All right, so for instance, they've already flocked to a social media page, which is really good for organizing groups, much like how Facebook does, only without the potential risk of even more censorship, and that is MeWe here. I'll be more than glad to add that link into the description box below as well. So they are organizing and seem to be collecting and getting things together, discussing here on this MeWe account. And they're also meeting on a social media page and or account called Telegram, which I'll put the link in the description box below, or I'll put the information to their Telegram page. You can sign up for that if you're not already. This is a great page also for the organization and or the information conveyed. And from what I can tell here, they also have a new Facebook page that has started. We'll see how long that lasts before Facebook and or the metaverse tries to censor that one as well. But I'll be more than glad to put the link in the description box below for that new Facebook page. So for all of the information that you'd like to have on being able to participate in this movement here in the United States, I'll help facilitate that by putting that in the description box below. So if you want to join the movement, join the campaign, you have plenty of opportunities to do so. Again, I'm putting the links in the description box below. Go check those out. This is a very important movement to be had. Why? And this might be out of all of the protests that I have even talked about and covered in some of my other videos that have occurred around the world, whether it be in Melbourne, Australia, Trafalgar, in the United Kingdom, France, Spain, Italy, Germany. Out of all of those worldwide protests that have garnered hundreds of thousands, if not millions of protesters worldwide, this might be one of the most important. Why? Because the truckers hold the keys to the already failing distribution chain. The distribution chain is already crumbling and at its weakest, even with everything trying to operate at 100% as they are right now. If the truckers all get together, or at least even a strong percentage of them, essentially strike and hold the capital, nation's capital, whether it be in Ottawa and then here in DC, hostage, and actively not supplying the goods to the market, stores, what have you, those stores are going to run out of goods. And you won't be able to, shop. You won't be able to get anything you need. And at some point, someone's going to have to give. They hold a lot of bargaining power. Unfortunately, a lot of people were not willing to hold the line with their own personal jobs and bring the whole economy to a standstill, which the government, I believe, was counting on. Majority of people complying, or as many as they did to comply, to keep things afloat to some degree, or at least somewhat manageable, while at the same time causing catastrophe. But with the supply chain completely disrupted with the truckers, they hold a lot of bargaining power to tell the government, hey, this is what we the people want. And keep in mind, at least this was true with the Ottawa truckers, we're not talking about anti-vax, anti-science. 90% of the truckers, I believe, if I got my numbers right, have been jabbed. This is not anti-jab. This is all about anti-mandate. This is all about freedom, freedom of choice, freedom to choose to get jabbed or not get jabbed and be able to live your life freely. This is for standing and holding your ground, not just for yourself, but most importantly for your children, your grandchildren, future generations, because if you don't hold the line now, those future generations will never know what that freedom ever looked like, let alone existed. And they'll keep pushing the goalposts so far back that you would be very surprised with how far down the tyrannical rabbit hole we've gotten. They're fighting for our freedoms, not the troops, surprisingly. These are our truckers defending and actually fighting for our freedoms and not government interests. But again, we are dealing with social media, mainstream media trying to defeat the cause. So I don't expect the remaining Facebook groups to stay on for but so long. So you definitely got to keep mindful of that. I would definitely suggest mostly try to get together on MeWe and or Telegram, but still do the Facebook pages, but just know and try to utilize all options just in case if Facebook continues to try to come after the remaining groups and censor them. All right. I'll try to keep updating any information on my YouTube page here, my YouTube channel. So please, again, don't forget to ring that notification button if you have already subscribed to my channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, but make sure you then smash that notification button so you can get notified of the latest content, because I do want to try to stay on top of this. Very important that we support this movement, support this revolution to stop the mandates and let the government know they cannot run buckshot tyranny over the population. They are supposed to be servants to we the people. We are not their servants. We are not their serfs. They serve us. They are not supposed to be dictating to us. And we do not want these mandates. And now they're definitely coming after the children, as I believe not only has Moderna now gotten FDA approval for 18 and up, surprisingly, despite the fact that you have 5 major developed countries, France, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, and I believe Denmark, have all stopped offering Moderna to anyone under 40 and under because of rising myocarditis and or other heart issues. But then more specifically, Sweden just recently came out and said they're definitely not approving any of the jabs to anyone under 11 and under because the risks greatly exceed the quote-unquote benefits. I put a link to that in the description box below. Why are we now authorizing it for our kids? But again, most importantly, now you have Pfizer seeking and trying to get FDA approval or emergency use approval for kids under 5 now. So once that comes through, these mandates for infants 5 and under will definitely, or under 5, will definitely start rolling out soon enough. So we definitely have to do this fight. Again, March the 1st is an ever-evolving date. Get involved in the movement, in the discussion groups, and see what's going on. From what I understand, it's not just truckers, it's people from all walks of life that have expressed interest in this U.S. movement. So that's my video. Let me know what you think. Any new information you happen to find and or grab, definitely put that in the description box below. Otherwise, please go ahead and share this video to let the word be known, because the revolution will be televised as far as, so long as I can help it. Again, don't forget to like this video because it will also help push it up in the YouTube algorithm, because we need to get the word out. This movement is going to happen, and despite social media's attempts to censor, we will get the word out. And again, subscribe to the channel. This is Bruce the Boss, and I'm out. Peace.